Each player is dealt 7 cards, 1 card at a time. The remaining deck is placed into the middle to form a draw deck. Flip the high-low chip. If the chip lands on high, the oldest player in the game will have the first turn. If the chip lands on low, the youngest player will have the first turn. The object of the game is to score points. Points are scored based on cards collected during a round and by being the first player to get rid of all your cards in a round. The cards in the game are numbered 1 to 100. Players will play cards into the middle that are higher or lower than the previous card played based on the face-up side of the high-low chip. Going back to the hands that were dealt earlier, I have flipped up each player's cards for you to see. In an actual game, you will keep your cards hidden from the other players. Player 1 will start this round by playing any card wanted. Player 1 plays 60. Play moves left to player 2. With the high-low chip on low, player 2 will play any card lower than 60. Players continue to play cards lower than the previous card played when possible. Player 2 plays the 7, and player 3 is unable to play a lower card. When a player is unable to play a card, there are 3 possible outcomes. The player unable to play will start by flipping the high-low chip. If the chip lands on the opposite side, the player will play a card from their hand. If the chip lands on the same side, the player will draw the top card of the middle deck. If the card can be played, it is played. If the card cannot be played, a reset occurs. For the reset, the player of the last card collects the discard pile and keeps it face down. Then the player unable to play will start a new discard pile with any card. Play then continues left. There are 3 types of special cards in the game. Cards that end in 1, 2, or 0. When a card that ends in 1 is played, the next player's turn is skipped. When a card that ends in 2 is played, the player of the card gets to play another card. Cards that end in 0 are worth 10 points at the end of the game for the player that collects any in a discard pile. Skipping ahead in the game to the end of a round, player 3 plays a higher card ending in 2 and plays a second higher card. Play moves to player 1, who is able to play their last card to win the round. The winner of the round takes the current discard pile. Any cards remaining in hands are set aside. At the end of a round, the player that got rid of their cards first scores 10 points. Players also score points based on the cards collected in the round. Each star card is worth 10 points, and all other cards are worth 1 point each. Here, player 1 scores 20 points for the cards, plus another 10 points for going out. Player 2 scores 14 points, and player 3 scores 4 points. The scores are recorded. A new round of cards are dealt. The high-low chip stays on the same side from the previous round. The player in last place plays first in the new round. Once a player gets 75 points or more, the game is over. The player with the highest score wins the game. If there is a tie for lowest score after a round, the oldest or youngest of the tying players will start the next round based on the side showing on the high-low chip. After a player is skipped, if the next player is unable to play, then the player of the skip card is awarded the discard pile. If a player is skipped in a 2-player game, play returns to the player of the skip card. If this player is unable to play another card, their opponent takes the discard pile. If a player plays a card ending in 2, but is unable to play a second card, the discard pile is awarded to the player who most recently played a card prior to the card ending in 2. That wraps up how to play